What's going on with this one? Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's time for that weekly Mod Collection demo shop update. We've got 8 of them in the Mod Collection this week, and we're starting things off strong here. They called this one Strawberry Sandwich. So naturally, we have a really striking top here with a metallic pink finish. You don't see pink Les Pauls too often. As far as electronics, looks like your regular Gibson custom stuff. But this one is adorned with really blingy gold hardware on top of very vibrant white plastics. So we've got a Moto pickguard over here with a matching white switch tip, no poker chip. But then take a look at these knobs. I have never seen Gibson use something like that. You'd find a clear style knob on the Les Paul Moderns, but these appear to have abalone inserts at the top. That's kind of interesting. But you're going to notice, to play off the whole clear and white theme that we've got going on, the edges were done up in a white finish as well. However, when you continue to flip it over to the back, things get even crazier. We've got the Moto backplates. We've got a completely white neck adorned with a metallic pink stinger extra long. Then our headstock also has a white truss rod cover just for good measure. We don't have any type of matching headstock with all this craziness though. This is certainly a really crazy design, especially considering this is just a regular custom shop serial number instead of one of the DS style ones. But if all that wasn't enough for you, they've got one of those old white Gibson USA cases to throw on for good measure. This is certainly one of the more ambitious designs that we've seen from these guys in a couple of weeks. But if that was a bit too out there for you, how about Tough Tobacco Satin? So this build is a regular Les Paul Classic. From far away, it just looks like a black Les Paul. Like, where'd the binding go? What's going on with this classic? Well, ignoring the finish for right now, I really like the way that this chrome hardware looks against it. It has a very subtle poppingness to it, but if you thought this was just a pure black pickguard, take a closer look at your bracket. That is slightly see-through. And then we've got these ambered knobs. But to help you see what this finish actually is, we need to move over to the headstock first. This is a really heavy ambered over clear coat over top of a black finish. So imagine a modern day Les Paul Classic being played in smoky bars for 30-40 years. This is kinda what it could look like. And then we've got Les Paul Widow-like vibes here, where all the binding was covered over in this new paint that honestly just kind of looks brown in this photo, and we can tell it's a satin finish, but I think they're going for the more ambered hue. I do like that we can still see some of the original cream binding right here. But if we're being honest here, the paintwork looks a little bit sloppy up close. We need a more even line. Maybe that one would look better in person, because there's definitely more to that color scheme. But next we have a 335 in Ice Pop Blue. At $3,800, they gave us a popping finish and P94 pickups, which are P90s in the shape of a humbucker. The witch hat knobs look alright with our sound holes. Our headstock was left alone. It is indeed a full gloss refinish. That's always a plus. And it looks like they also did the back, but potentially left the sides alone? Because the neck is looking like it's going to be satin, which I guess could be a good player's thing, but I don't know how well those colors pair to each other. This might be one of those ones that you have to appreciate in person to see the side color match with the neck, if that's indeed what they're doing. Next, we've got a standard 50s in Tiger Burst. When I saw this one on launch day, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Perimeter Burst, I said, this guitar needs a stinger. And they totally didn't disappoint, because it's got a black stinger on the back of the headstock, which is pretty cool for a Gibson USA product to have that. Pairs well with our back plates. But we've got a P94 in the neck and a regular uncovered humbucker in the bridge. All things considered, I would say that was a fine deal, especially considering only 8.6 pounds. That's not bad for one of those solid body guitars. I really like this SG standard. They called it Metallic Violet Perimeter. So we've got a reverse burst happening. So here's a silver burst. Here's a reverse silver burst. This is like a purple burst, but the inverse of that. We'll adjust the contrast so you can see it here briefly. So basically just a lighter purple around the edge, and then it kind of gets really deep purple and or black. I'm not quite sure how dark it gets from these photos, but that is an awesome color. And they also decided to do it on the back, but just around the body. Unfortunately, we didn't get the continuation of the neck. Well, not all of the neck anyways. And it's looking like just a regular satin headstock. But take a look for a $400 premium on this standard 50s. They call it Blue Brink. This is another one that they went insane on. I mean, this is a Gibson USA product. Again, you don't normally see them go too crazy with these because it ends up making them way too expensive and people talk about them in a negative light. But this has a very dark blue gloss finish, and then they've got this like bright neon blue binding. Now, as we all know, Gibson does not use colored binding in this way. They just paint over the existing stuff. You can see what the original cream color is over there. Although I kind of wish Gibson would just experiment with actual binding that's colored, but the cream plastics really work well with that finish. But being a standard, you only have that binding on the top, so the back is just a straight up cobalt blue. This Les Paul Custom was $5,000 and called Juicy Red Satin. So if you're cool with a satin finish custom, it technically wasn't offered at a premium, just at the base level ebony price. And it looks good. Reminds me of the old Showcase Edition version from the late 80s. Front and back was done. And lastly, kind of an interesting semi-hollow. They call it Red Denim Stain. It looks like they had a cherry-colored one that they slightly sanded down and then just gave it a satin clear coat. Very similar to what we've seen on some of those SGs that they then paint different colors, so they've got two things going on. This in blue would look awesome, but red with this wood grain does look pretty cool. I especially like the zebra bobbin pickups. It works for the quirky nature of this one. And you're rocking a similar thing on the back with a natural mahogany neck. But oh, excuse me ma'am, flame figuring in mahogany has happened. So overall, fewer offerings, but quality offerings. But wait until you see what the demo shop had in stock. Here was the teaser from the beginning of the episode. So this Paul was listed as a 58 standard in an ebony top. So naturally, I'm just thinking, okay, 1958 reissue. It's gonna have a black top, everybody's gonna have a great time. But then I clicked on it and started looking and going, where's our binding? A 58 reissue needs binding. And then I looked at the fretboard. Oh, ebony with block inlays. Then I got to the full body shot and oh, that's just a straight up Les Paul custom neck. But not just any Les Paul custom neck, that's the 70s Gibson style logo. Flip it over to the back and bam, we've got a volute back here. So that is a 74 style neck on a 58 reissue Les Paul's body. I think it actually does have binding, it's kind of hard to tell from the photos. And it's got a lift and reissue case. This thing is all kinds of weird. Had I had seen it before somebody bought it, I might have even picked it up for review and documentation because I love black tops mixed with natural backs because they just look awesome. But that thing has really quirky specs. But okay, confirmed they painted the binding. That was kind of a strange choice for them. It looks like we were rocking custom bucker pickups with a slim taper neck profile. And they also had a screaming deal on this buttercream Les Paul Custom. You gotta remember, a regular white Les Paul Custom brand new from Gibson's gonna run you $6,000. So getting a slightly more custom buttercream version for $39,000? Yeah. I'm not quite sure what was wrong with this one cosmetically. I didn't really read too much into it, but that looks like a 2022 creation, maybe a couple of smudges down here. Nothing you can't live with for such a steep discount on that. But as far as everything else that was listed, a couple of players grade stuff. But this is what stood out to me. We had a 50 standard P90 that was modified with chrome everything. I feel like we dropped the ball a little bit over here. If we're going to do the chrome conversion, we might as well do it everywhere. But it was slightly different. Here we had a hand select 50 standard. It's not a traditional top by any means, but it's nice and wavy. It's a little bit wider than normal. You've got a little bit of irregularity here and a mineral streak or something in the top to give it character. Let's say that's a decent top. But here's an interesting double gold 1957 Les Paul reissue. So it was $5,400, which is kind of strange when a regular R7 is only $5,000 brand new. But this one's got some interesting wood grain on the back. And I didn't see anything else too crazy. I think the Grovers are technically custom for this model. Maybe that's why it was a little bit more expensive. But oh my goodness, I did find one that was a little bit humorous. So this is a regular Les Paul tribute. It ranks below a studio in the fact that it has a satin finish and a maple neck as compared to your regular specs on a Les Paul. That's why it's only $1,000. Brand new, they're not that much more either. I actually really like tribute guitars. So this one, it's all right on the top. Full shot, it's all right. Go to the back. Yeah, it's got some exceptional figuring on the back. But that's not exactly what I want you to focus on. Look at the neck in the headstock repair area. That is such an unfortunately placed figure line because I'm sure that's what that is. It's just a little bit of dancing within the wood. It just looks like a straight across crack that's been repaired and touched up. But I would be shocked if that was the case because I think we've only ever seen one or two actually repaired guitars show up in the demo collection. Do you buy it? Because if you ever have to sell this thing, you're going to have to explain that. And not everybody is going to believe you that, oh yeah, it's just in the wood grain because it looks like a repair. It kind of makes me like that one. And then lastly, out of the demo shop, we've got the 335. I thought this ebony finish worked well with the zebra bobbins. And then you got your small block inlays, 64 style. This one's got a vibe. I'm digging it. And now we can head on over to the European side of things. There are some players' grade stuff, and then 4 I wanted to make mention of. So we've got a 58 standard over here, Lemon Burst, giving you greeny vibes, but not exactly at the same time. Interesting wood grain going up and down with a very mild plain top. This is exactly what a 58 reissue should look like. None of those crazy fancy tops, a little bit plain but with some character. But the back, I don't know if it's this photography style, but that just looks really good. They stained that to perfection, and it's all very even. That's a nice one. Speaking of nice lemon bursts, they had a different one if more mineral streaks and absolute plain top is what you were looking for. And no surprise, the back of this one also looks excellent. So I think it's just the photo quality and the lighting setup that's really making the wood grain pop. So Mr. Photographer Man over in the Netherlands, you're doing a great job here. But I've always liked their photo styling, especially with these more candid shots. Really helps you see what you're going to buy. Next, we had a 68 reissue, but they modified it with black plastics, which I've seen black plastic R7s before and other various gold top P90 models, but never on a 68. Now, what makes a 68 unique, the early ones anyways, they've got the SG crown. You can check out this episode if you need to learn the history about that. But I've always personally really liked these 68 reissues that are going for this style 68. And then lastly, a standard 60s figure top. I wish I had some crazy story of why I wanted to share this one as far as wood grain and stuff goes, but no, I don't, except for I don't think we were meant to see this photo. I feel like maybe that's what they send the company that posts all these for them. That way they make sure that they've got the serial numbers lined up and then this one's supposed to be deleted, but it's the first time I've seen it anyways. So it's always fun to catch slight little mishaps like that. Alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to tell me which one was your favorite down in the comments, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.